This is Tarak.
This is Alekhya.
And together we are
Tarak Stories.
Yes. So
yes, it's surprising we both are doing a video together, which will never happen actually.
Yeah, I know, like we usually do individual videos, but today we wanted to show you something together. And since it's one of our favorite recipes, we thought why not make it together. So the recipe we are going to do is, I know you must have seen on the thumbnail, it's a pineapple cake, which is also called pineapple pastry. Now we're going to keep this very simple, and so that's the reason we have divided the video into 3 parts.
Yes.
Part 1.
First we'll bake the cake, the vanilla cake.
Part 2.
And we'll whip the cream.
Of course you need cream. And what was the part 3 then?
We'll just decor the cake.
I think there's a part 4 which is eating.
Yeah.
Kidding. So let's go ahead and see how the cake is done. Okay, as part of step 1, now let's start making a sponge cake. And in order to make a sponge cake, I have a large mixing bowl, and Alekhya is going to go ahead and start whisking it. Now I'm going to add 4 eggs.
And these eggs should be at room temperature.
Once we added 4 eggs into a mixing bowl, now let's start whisking this.
Let's start the process.
Okay, now the eggs are beaten really well. If you see, they started to form soft peaks. If you actually look here. Now, this is the consistency we are looking at. Now, at this stage, what we're going to do is, I have about 170 grams of sugar. So, this is not powdered sugar nor caster sugar. So, this is regular sugar, which we would be adding in batches while she continues to whisk. This batter. Now what we're going to do is as a flavoring ingredient, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla essence. Now this is basically to give you the flavor, so 1 teaspoon should be more than enough. Let's whisk it one last time and then we'll start adding the dry ingredients. Okay, now the whisking part is completed. Can you just show them how the batter is at the moment? If you see, it's nice and creamy. Now this is what we are looking at. So a quick recap, we've added 4 eggs, about 170 grams of sugar and 1 teaspoon of vanilla essence. Now it's time to add the dry ingredients, guys. Now the dry ingredients consist of 150 grams of all-purpose flour or Maida, 25 grams of cornflour and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. I've combined all of them together and sifted really well. Make sure to do that in order to avoid any kind of lumps in the batter. Now we are going to add this again in batches. So let's start adding. And can you help in folding? And it's folded really well from all sides. And as I told you, the final ingredient, I have about 40 grams of cooking oil. Any vegetable oil would do. I'm using sunflower oil and 60 grams of water. Both of them are like really hot, and we just have to make sure we mix water into the oil. So it makes a total of 100 grams. So we are not adding any other fat. It's going to be only oil and water right now. So no butter, nothing else should be added into this. And there is no milk as well in this recipe. Now let's just pour this inside and fold this entire batter one more time. Now this is a baking tin with a compartment, so I'm using some parchment paper. Don't worry if you do not have it. Add some flour and some butter or any fat should do. Let's go ahead and transfer the batter into the baking tin. Now we would be making this cake at 165 degrees, and so that would be the temperature that we would be using. The total baking time would be around 30 to 40 minutes depending on the amount of batter that you would be using. After 35 minutes, if it isn't cooked, then maybe we can leave it for another 3 or 4 minutes. We'll give it a final tap. This goes straight into the oven for 35 minutes at 165. I'll see you once the cake is baked. Okay, now let's continue with the step 2 while our cake is baking. So the step 2 is preparing
Whipped cream.
In order to prepare whipped cream, we basically need cream for whipping. So this is the cream I would be using today. Now let me go ahead and add half of the content into this mixing bowl. So this was basically in a freezer, so it doesn't take a lot of time to melt. Now that should be fine. So what we are going to do is, let's go ahead and start whipping this.
So now the whipped cream is completely done. So you need to finish it until you get the soft peaks. This is how it looks. Alright guys, now the cake is done. So we have baked this for 40 minutes and then we have cooled it down for 10 minutes. Now this is done. So let me remove it from the cake tin. So this looks fluffy and spongy as you see. So let's cut this into layers and arrange it. So we are using
pineapple bites or pineapple slices. This is a canned pineapple fruit.
Yeah, we got it from Del Monte.
Yes.
And
if you want, you can also use fresh pineapples and some pineapple juice.
Yes, and also we are using cherries
as a topping.
Yes, and that's all. Let's get started then. Cake from cake rotating stand to the cake stand. So let me decor with some flowers.